What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me adjust my adjust. Yes. Every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What a glorious week it is here in the New York area. I hope you all are having a great week. My week was spectacular. Spook Realm 4Q, you are first in the building, as usual. So let's knock this out real quick. PSA number one, you know the rules. Get the book. The link is in the description below. Y'all know the drill. It's the whole story, the BDP story, Kenny Parker story, KRS story, the origin story, everything. Get the book. The link is in the description below. And thank you so much to the people who have bought the audio book. Much appreciated. Rule number two, please hit the like button when you get a chance. I feel like I say this all the time. It helps the algorithm so we can get like-minded people on the channel, on the chat, and the family. Last but not least, big up to the ER, the early regular crew, and big up to the massive Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. So, you guys know why I'm happy, but I'm not gonna bring it up unless somebody brings it up. B-Boy Jose, what up? Kenneth Smith, what up? Gregory Nettis, what up? Yo, Kenny, are you going to the Knicks championship parade on Thursday? Not sure. Rosmel, what up? B-Boy says, KP, I can only imagine what New York City has been like since the tremendous Knicks victory. If y'all saw the footage, people lost it. I'm gonna get to that in a second. If you guys want me to, I'll chill if you won't. But if you force me to, oh my goodness, KP, how do the Spurs offload Fox's contract, which has 4 more years left, on that hefty price tag? I think maybe then he the weak link. You know what's sad about that? You're only good as your last performance. This guy was an all-star on this Spurs team this year. An all-star who they gave a max contract to that doesn't kick in until next year. Everyone was happy with the deal. He helped that team win 62 games, and it was all good. He got injured, hurt his ankle, don't know if he was hobbled. But ever since, forget the way he played and some of the plays that he made, ever since game 4, where he made that drive, ill-advised drive, and gave the Knicks life, he has been the scapegoat for everything that has gone wrong in San Antonio. You have to point a finger, and it seems like it's unanimous that he's the guy, and it's unfortunate. I'm sure there's plenty of teams who would love to take a 28-year-old all-star and give him a second chance. His contract is so big, though, that maybe, for another team to take on a contract like that, they might have to trade and throw in some picks, too. But the stench around Fox right now, just off of one bad series, is so much that there's going to be a public outcry to trade him. And it's also funny that you can have one great series or a great run and make yourself a bucket of money, like Landry Shamet is going to make, a free agent, Alvarado. These guys are going to get paid based on their play in the playoffs. But that's sports, man. It's tough, but that's sports. MK Ultra, what up? DJ Joey Joe, what up? Rosmel, Kenny, I just watched the throwback episode of Rap City with you and Heather. Oh, thank you. She told Joe Cleasy, shout out to my man Cleasy, that she wrote her own rhymes. Was that true? Be honest. I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys right now. To my knowledge, Heather B wrote 100% of the rhymes that you ever heard her say. 100%. Um, I know that in her early years, KRS worked with her on writing structure. He literally taught her how to write songs, structure, how to look for words. I remember that. Heather was dabbling in emceeing and wanting to be an MC when I first met her in college, um, which led to me connecting her with KRS. So she was an MC, but she was raw, very raw. And Chris took a liking. He liked her style and saw something here that he think he could work with. And so I remember him sitting there and showing her a lot of the ropes. I mean, that's a story that Heather would probably be better off told herself, but I was there. But after that, once he showed her the BDP formula, she was off to the races. Um, and I respect that. You know, whether you like a person's rhymes or not, whether you like a person's beat or not, whether you like anyone's art or not, at least it's their own. And I have a lot of respect for that. We're not going to get into the Ghost Rider conversation today unless you guys force me. But I always say, even if you think my stuff is whack, at least it's mine. Okay. Let's see. Let me move down a little bit. Let's see how much I can keep up today. Spook Run, what is your overall impression of We Got It From Here? Thank you for your service. What's your favorite and least favorite track? Is that the what We Got It From Here? Thank you for your, is that the Daylight album? I know that title. What album is that? Goodness, I know the title, but I can't place it. Sydney Rhodes, what up? Silk Child, what's going on? My man. Um, Much love. You already know, hit the like button, support the brother. Yes. Hopefully Tracy will be in the chat and remind us. What up, Tracy? Um, PBB NYC, Brooklyn on the check-in. You guys, you know I'm a Brooklyn native, born and raised. Um, some people get confused when they see Boogie Down Productions and they're like, how could you say you're from Brooklyn when BDP is based out of the Bronx? You'd have to read the book. But born and raised in BK all day. Danella, Don Freeman, what up? Isaiah Winbrone. KP, what if Tupac didn't pass away in '96? You know, I don't get into shoulds, what should have happened. I like to go by trajectories, what it looked like he was becoming. You also got to understand that Tupac got even bigger and became immortal when he passed. But Tupac alive in '96 was right at the top of the hottest rappers slash artists in America at the time. And also he was getting into the acting a lot. I mean, he was already acting, but he had movies. He started look like doing more movies. He was the complete package. Um, the guys, all of the street guys loved him for his thug life persona and lyrics and lifestyle. The guys who like conscious lyrics loved him because of the knowledge that he also put in his rhymes and the way he spoke. The ladies loved him. Every day it seems like another A-list celebrity woman from the 90s came out and said they had a relationship with Pac. It's crazy. Um, MTV, the mainstream loved him. Hollywood loved him. Radio loved him. I think if he did not pass, he would have probably reached a combination of music and acting that hip hop had never seen before. We got the heights of um we got the heights of music. He was big at that time, him, Big, um, LL. A little later, we got Jay-Z, Puff Daddy. We've seen the heights of hip hop popularity. Even Eminem was probably the peak. Snoop Dogg. We've seen that. And then we've seen the heights of acting rapper being Will Smith. To a lesser extent, I would say Queen Latifah had a nice run. And there's some others, but they did more street hood movies. But overall, Will Smith is the guy. I would say Will Smith is the best combination of acting and selling records that we've ever seen. But I think Tupac could have eclipsed that had he not passed away. He would have been the biggest star in different genres, maybe ever. I think that was the trajectory he was on, but a lot of things could have happened to derail that, as we all know. So, J Wu 72, Brunswick, what up? Brunswick 4, what up? Patrick McLean, KP, finally, I'm so glad I was in New York City for that energy. Still buzzing. Go Knicks. You guys are going to force me to talk about it. If y'all keep this up, y'all going to make me do it. I'm trying to chill because we've been talking about basketball all week. Big up to everybody that did the whole Kenny Parker experience. We was on 5 times last week. And culminating in Saturday night's uh, play-by-play Knicks watch. We're gonna do that again in the future, next season, because that was really dope. I had a blast, and we had a lot of the family in here. Um, culminating with last Saturday's Knicks victory. We was on 5 times last week. So big up to everybody that rode with us, and even in the rewind. Um, So I'm trying to chill and not go into basketball too much today. And we're going to talk, but not as much, unless y'all force me. If y'all keep these comments, y'all going to make me do it. Cutie Pie. Ride Dirty Face. What up? So how was everyone's weekend? Salute KP's chat. What's up, Knicks? My weekend was spectacular. Jeremiah Woods, you were right. The Knicks won. I had a couple of good predictions in there from last week, but I'm going to chill right now. CMC in the place to be. Patrick Wild, what up? Seeing a lot of Knicks. A lot of Knicks cheers. Philly Sheed, what up? Sweet Goldilocks, what's up? Should have dribbled out the clock or draw the foul. Yeah, but you know what? I got to say, too. Sports is always about, the phrase, the Monday morning quarterback. Everybody knows what somebody should have done the day after. Um, And we all are Monday morning quarterbacks. And it's easy to talk when you're not in the live action. And I say that to say this guy, Fox, is 28 years old. On that team, he's a veteran. Um, and that's a typical play that you would see even in college, uh, even in the minor leagues, even in the regular season. But I could also see where he thought he had a step. He was blowing down the court, and he thought he had a step that would have, had he made that layup, he probably puts that game away. But the Knicks are on some magic. Knicks really had some magic going on this playoffs. They would have put Spurs up 3, but I believe more magic would have happened. But I say all that to say, I could see where his head was at, but OG made a great defensive play too. Didn't give up on the play. That was a great defensive play. And there's a few plays on both sides that had the team won would look like genius, and had the team lost would look like, what are you doing? Monday morning quarterback. That's what we're doing right now. Um, and in some ways, I feel for Fox. Um, he's going to make 49 million next season, though. 49, I think 50 and 50. He got like 200 million guaranteed on the table right now. Somehow that'll ease the pain. But if you're an athlete, it still stings. Um, it is what it is. Let me scroll down a little bit. Fox been messing up since he was on the Kings. He doesn't have a high b-ball IQ to me. Looking back on that's a pretty. You don't even need a high b-ball IQ. Grab the ball, even if he didn't, just hold it. And he fouled. He fouled Alvarado. That was another play that wasn't Alvarado. They had him almost trapped. He's about to dribble into the backcourt, and he fouled him to stop the clock. The Knicks were in trouble. The Knicks had the ball. He didn't really even have to foul right there. They were still up 1. Just be solid. That was a bad play. I think even fouling him was up there. Um, let's see. B-Ball says KP 40 years ago yesterday, Whistle released their first album, including Only Buggin', which is one of the first records I practiced scratching and cut. Everybody scratched that record. Not me, I wasn't DJing then. But I mean, it was funny. I never really cared for that song. I never really cared for songs with weird voice effects in it. Like I didn't like Wiggy 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 Jam on it. I didn't really care for that. Having to Murgatroyd's voice and we're only bugging. I didn't really care for that. Shout out to Hitman Howie Tito. That was a huge record produced by him. It wasn't my thing, but it was a big record though. Big record. 40 years ago. Sheesh. I can remember listening to Chuck Chill Out and then play that record. Spook Realm, that was Tribe's last album. Got it. There was a few on there that I liked. I'd have to go back and listen again. I thought it had some joints. Some of it felt a little pieced together to me. I'd have to go back and listen to it again, to be honest. Nothing's really sitting in my mind. Divine is Peace KP. I just remixed the infamous Bully B song, Don't Hold Us Back, off the Hill Project today. Wow, that's the first song me and Heather ever did. Came out pretty fresh for 2026. I'd love to hear that. I haven't heard that song since it came out. That's the first song that me and Heather did. Patrick McLean, what up? Ridge Shot. Can I get a rich shot? Shout out to Erica Badu. Uh, Philly She said, you mean had relations with Pac. You know what the thing is about that? But if you really listen to them talk, every single one of them felt like he was their soulmate. And I talked about how deep he was and how he wrote poetry to them. And everyone, it wasn't like, yo, me and Tupac was just over here for a second. Everyone was like, we had something special. And you gotta imagine, Pac was famous from like, Pac always talks about how he was in a club when he was a roadie for Digital Underground and girls wouldn't even give him a chance. And then he came back to the same club after he blew up a year later and the girls were all over him. And he's looking at them like, you don't even remember me trying to talk to you last year? Pac was only famous from, say, 91, and he passed in 96. He passed at the beginning of 96. So he was really famous for like 5 years. And in that 5 years, he managed to have a dozen A-list actresses say that they were in a relationship. Big up the Pac. Big up the Pac. Ah, Affectionate Takashi Mandela, one of the oldest and greatest of the family here at the Kenny Parker Show. DJ Kenny Parker, I'm sorry we got to say it. The Knicks are world champions. Talk that ish. We did it. The live was amazing. Thank you. And we're not sorry. We here in New York, we're not sorry at all. We're obnoxious, overbearing, chest poked out. Yeah, we did it. Let me tell you something, y'all. I'm an old man now, right? And I feel like nothing really excites me anymore, entertainment wise. Everything that comes out or they're presenting to us as new, to me, I've seen it before. It's either a remake, a remix, or I've seen the best. We've seen the greatest that there ever was at everything. Could you imagine, for those of you of a certain age, do you remember what it was like to live through? There was a certain time, 1983 to 1985. Those 2 years, musically, we got Thriller, not just the album, but the whole experience, the videos, the Mike being the biggest star the world had ever seen. We got Prince exploding to his peak. We got Whitney, a baby Whitney Houston. We got the classic guys from the 70s still making monster records, like Lionel Richie was on fire. Marvin Gaye came back out of nowhere with Sexual Healing. Patti LaBelle was still gigantic. Shaka Khan was still gigantic. So we got the best artists of the 70s, Diana Ross, they were still big. And all of the new artists, Luther Vandross, Sade, all were coming at the same time. And I'm forgetting people. The pop scene had Phil Collins and George Michaels was new, and a lot of the greats, Hall and Oates and uh, Rod Stewart, and we were getting all of this music was absolutely the greatest artists who ever lived were all seemingly hot in 83, 85. Then we got Michael Jordan comes on the scene as a rookie and explodes. In the middle of that, we had Magic and Bird and Kareem and Dr. J all prime time basketball. We had A young heavyweight that the world had never seen before named Mike Tyson was knocking everybody out. You had to be in your seats when the bell rang because 1 minute into the fight, it could be over. We had the greatest movies. If you lived through that period of time in the 80s, everything after that to me seems like substitutions. And it only got worse. And I hate sounding like that old guy, but for the past few years, I have felt like I've seen everything. Every movie coming out now is a franchise or something, part 10 of Star Wars or something, ET or some part 80 or something. But the only thing I've never seen was the Knicks win it all. If you, in 1973, the amount of people who are alive today who could really appreciate the Knicks winning in 73, if you were a little child like I was, you couldn't appreciate it. You had to be of a certain age to really appreciate what the Knicks did in 73. So for most of us who are alive, we've never seen anything like this. In recent years, I had to say the most mind-boggling things I've seen have all been mostly negative. 9/11, something I've never seen before. COVID, something the world has never seen. These are things we've never seen before. Negative. Barack Obama becoming a black president is something I never thought I'd see. That's the last time I saw something that I thought was I'd never would see. That was in '08. And now here we are with the Knicks winning a championship and the way they won it. Nobody had the Knicks winning. Nobody had the Knicks coming out of the East. Nobody had the Knicks in the top in the Eastern Conference Championship. And so I'm excited as a New Yorker. And as we can see, all the New Yorkers all around the country lost it. And so if we're a little unbearable right now for the rest of the country, you got to understand what the Knicks really mean to this city. And I'm gonna leave it there unless you guys force me because I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I'm gonna chill for a second. But um, yeah, so we're gonna be a little obnoxious for a little while, y'all. Icon pauses. Imagine anyone trying to tell Heather what to say. Very difficult. Heather is very what's the word? Stubborn. Um, Me and her bumped heads many days in the studio. Um, but she said everything that she wanted to say, she said herself. And I have the utmost respect for that. And that's from the school that we come from. We come from the school of MCing, DJing. Um, Chris has written songs for people in the past. I'm not going to say who, but he has. But I know him and I know the respect level that he has for someone's actual pen because he would rather KRS would quit today and never open his mouth again, which would be a fate worse than death for him, than have somebody write rhymes for him. The day when it comes where he can't put his pen down, he'll quit. And so respect to HB for that. Uh, let's see. CMC said, "Yeah, Will was unstoppable." Will Smith is one of the biggest. Will Smith is one of the biggest movie stars of all time. Um, Damn KP, Nucleus, Wiki Wiki song, and Jam on It are dope as hell. Legendary songs to me. They were really big songs. It just wasn't for me. Jam on It. Big, great records. Oh, let me scroll down a little bit because now I'm super far behind. And it's getting a little warm in here too. I'm going to try not to cut the air on, but if it gets too warm, I'm going to have to do it. Kenneth Smith said, you still got to see Star Wars. I know, I've never seen a Star Wars movie before. Joey Joe says, yeah, I wasn't even born the last time the Knicks won. I was a little kid, little child. I was a child. I had no conception of the Knicks. I didn't even know who Clyde Frazier was until his sneakers came out. And that had to be like, I think he had ponies. That had to be like 80, 79. Victor Britney Spears Wembanyama. Y'all gonna make me do it, man. I have a whole thing on Wemby. I'm gonna cut this air on, y'all. Okay. It's getting a little warm in here. I hope it doesn't be too loud in you guys' ear, but um yeah. Wemby, if I get a couple more people say talk about Wemby, I'm gonna talk about it. I'm trying to chill, but I have a lot of opinions on Wemby. I've watched him really up close and personal right now. Um Patrick White, KP, if MJ and Kobe didn't truly love the game or were real competitors, their careers would have turned out differently. MJ getting beat up by Detroit, Kobe with the air balls, those things made them. Absolutely. I've seen Jordan say he would play for free. I've seen a couple people say that. You know, they say, yeah, sure, you can say that, you're a billionaire. But I believe Magic, Bird, Jordan, Kobe, there's a certain guys that they would have bought their own sneakers and brought their own shirts and shorts to the game just for the competition. I believe that for sure. Got to give Mike Brown a lot of credit. I absolutely do. I was texting with my man Kevin earlier today, and we were talking about Tibbs. And sad part about Tibbs was he didn't get a chance to run it back because it's the same team. It's basically the same team that ran it back. But Mike Brown developed the bench. The Knicks bench was gigantic in this run. Every single person on that bench, just about who played, had a moment that helped the team win. Tibbs would have went 7 deep and ran them dudes into the ground. Gregory Nettis, Columbine was the worst. That was, sadly, that started a whole trend. That wasn't the first time that ever happened, but that incident changed the game. The copycats that came after that changed the world. That was a terrible, 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 terrible event. You're right. That's something, again, that I could say we had seen it before, but not like that. Donna McCall says, Kenny, Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie. I forgot Tina Turner came back and had one of the biggest songs, the biggest song of her career and the record of the year in 84. She's been out 20 years and had the biggest record of her career in 84. And we got Madonna. Madonna changed the game. We had never seen nothing like that before. People forget how gigantic and how many hits Madonna had in 83, 84, 85. Yo, you got to experience that time. Nothing will ever match it. I'm forgetting greatness. And it was normal. It was just you cut the radio on and all these people were just on the radio back to back to back. You cut that off, you cut the TV on, and Dallas and Dynasty and all of these classic shows were just on. Like it was crazy. Everywhere you went was just greatness. Free thinker KP, have you ever worked with Percy P? No, I met him a few times. H Bully is a female roughneck. I met him a few times, but I never worked with him. Patrick Watts says, KP, remember when you were kids, if you were black and you said you wanted to be president, you would get gotten laughed out of school or sent to the local psychiatrist for reevaluation? Absolutely. Part of Chris Rock's, the Chris Rock special that made him, that took him to superstardom as a comedian, the whole premise was how you'll never see a black president ever. That might be the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Barack Obama and 9/11. I never thought the towers could come down. Those two are the most unbelievable things I've ever seen in my life. And we've seen the space shuttle. We've seen Ronald Reagan get popped. I'm trying to watch my language for YouTube. We've seen Michael Jackson at his heights. We've seen him go. But I'm going Barack, 9/11, COVID, and the Knicks. PBB, why does hip hop have an age limit when other genres celebrate their elders? That's hip hop has different rules than every other music genre, and that's what made hip hop great. And unfortunately, each generation wants their own people. It doesn't even have to be better. It just has to be new. I don't know. I don't know how this happened. I think part of it is my generation, the guys who grew up in the crack era, failed the next generation. I have this hypothesis, y'all, based on no facts at all. But here's what I think. Dating back to Africa, there's always been a tradition of the elders teaching the youngsters the rules, how to be a man, woman, child, woman, the history, the spoken word history, and you pass that on and you pass that on, and there was a respect that came with it and a respect for the elders. And this went all the way up to my generation, our generation. Our parents let us know under no circumstances that Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, that was their crew. Um, the Supremes, Motown, these people were great, and this is the standard. I feel that something happened with my generation, and I'm blaming it on crack. That we didn't teach the next generation the rules and codes that were passed down for thousands of years. It stopped with us. And I believe because I'm putting this on males, the men. You look at crack, it did three things. A huge chunk of our population got hooked on crack and lost a decade of their lives. Another huge chunk sold drugs and went to jail for decades and lost a chunk of their lives. And another huge population lost their lives. And because of that, a lot of the youth were raised by their grandparents and mothers, grandmothers, and mothers. And I think that that's when it stopped. That there was a disconnect at that point. So the generations coming after that don't have the same respect for the elders and where we came from like we had. And it took two generations, ours and our kids. Now it's our grandkids are growing up. They have no caring or respect for anything that didn't happen in their lives in the past month or two. Anything after the past few months is old to them. This is new. I think social media has a lot to do with it, but it started before that. And my theory is not based on anything. I have no facts at all. But this is what I'm feeling. Crack did immeasurable damage to the inner city. I would love to know what you guys think about that. Um, did you hear the next song from Rakim and Busta Rhymes? I heard somebody talking about it, but I thought they was talking about an old song. There's a new one? I don't know. I've heard about it. I haven't heard anything. Dynasty says, Dynasty, I'm calling it. You know, it's very, very hard to repeat in the NBA these days because of free agency and parity. We've had 8 different champions in 8 different years. And each time, just about, it looked like this was a team that was going to make a run. Remember, I remember Toronto won. Uh, Toronto won. And then what's my man, the Claw? How can I? Kawhi. Kawhi stepped off, and that was it. Free agency. I remember when the Joker won, they were like, oh boy, that team has everything. They're young. They have everything it needs for a run. And even though the Joker's been MVP 3 times, they've been eliminated. When Boston won, that team with Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who's about to get traded, y'all. Jaylen Brown and Tatum, that team was poised to go on a run. Everybody was like, this is the team to beat. Tatum blew out his Achilles. That was it. OKC last year. This is now the future. The MVP is on that team. They're young. They got all the pieces. They lost. Now here we are with the Knicks. They're young. They got all the pieces. If they stay healthy and together, we'll see. But it's hard, man. It's real hard. Even this San Antonio team could literally fall apart. Who knows? Um, let's see. Clyde wore Pumas. So who had the ponies? Not. I know Clyde had Pumas. That's right. The Clyde. They were called Clydes in New York. They were calling them Clydes. But I could have sworn he went to pony. Maybe I'm wrong. Because you're right. Pumas, when they were really popular in the 70s, when they blew, they were called Clydes. Maybe that's how I first heard his name. Thank you, Def Rocker. But I thought he had Pumas, I mean ponies as well. Clyde's Puma sneaker was released in 73. It blew up in my neighborhood in like 76, 77. Man, you could not wear Pumas. They would take your head off. Um, Donna McCall says, I told you last week on the show, Nixon 5. I don't recall that, but you know what? I said Nixon 6. I said a few things. Y'all gonna make me do it. I'm trying to chill. I said when the series started, I said if the Knicks play the way they're playing right now, they'll win this series in six. I think the way the Knicks were playing, not up until the finals, the way the Knicks are playing, they would have beaten any team in coming up. I think no. I think any team, OKC. I don't care who it was. The way the Knicks are playing right now, they beat them. And I don't even think the Knicks played great in these finals. They had moments. I think the Knicks could play way better. They played way better leading up to these finals. I think San Antonio got a 70% Knicks team and lost in five. Brandon Yakubi, hi Kenny. Do you ever watch any shows on Tubi? I rarely watch TV now. I mostly watch YouTube stuff on YouTube. A lot of like breakdowns and documentaries and things. Sidney Rose, Tibbs has a history of running players into the ground. Yeah, he did. Wow, FU2, you still fighting it, man. The only reason the Knicks won is the Spurs coach messed up. Word. What? He didn't play Harper as much as he should have? That's what you're gonna say? Let me tell you something. When you play a team, it's getting a little chilly in here. Hold on. When you play a team in a 7-game series, and I said this last week, it's coach versus coach, player versus player, team versus team, owner versus owner, training staff versus training staff. The guy in the back with the iPad deciding to do you want to challenge that guy versus the other guy's iPad guy, crowd versus crowd, it all matters. The coach messed up. Nah, bro, the Knicks took that. The coach has the coach has a definite hand on the philosophy that he wants, the players that he put in. But at the end of the day, the players got to play. San Antonio didn't lose. The Knicks took that. All right, y'all about to do it. PPP, y'all about to make me do it, man. One more comment, and I'm about to go on a Wemby rant. KP, do you consider Wemby a dirty player? Absolutely, I do. I have a lot of opinions on Wemby right now. D-Nizzy, KP, you're right. Wiggy Wiggy was so corny on the Jam on this song, and I'm glad they stopped making music. I didn't want to hear them in '86. I'm not gonna say, I don't believe in corny. That was a gigantic record. So they did something right. It just wasn't for me. That jokey sound with that sound effect wasn't for me, and you either. I wouldn't say it was corny because it was big. I thought the beat was dope. That bass line, doom, 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 doom. I just thought the lyrics were jokey. But then again, I like rapping Duke. Oh, KP, don't forget that Quincy Jones album, '81 classic. Of course, the dude. I still listen to that. Um, you're talking about the dude, right? Um, Quincy was at his peak. I'm not even talking about the smaller artists that were rocking, like the next level down, all of the Teddy Pendergrasses and Luther and Stephanie Mills and Tina Marie and Rick James and all this R&B was ridiculous. The slow jams, all of the great groups, the Atlantic Stars and SOS bands and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and Janet Jackson was just yo, it was ridiculous, bro. Ridiculous. Christopher Burke says Dynasty. I'm calling it the next generation of my Harlem Globeness. Well, we're gonna mark this down. Let's mark that down, Christopher. You're calling. So next year, this time, God willing, we will all be here. And we'll see if you were prophetic. Tips to Mike Brown is almost similar to Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr. Yeah. Mark Jackson built that team, but he had some flaws, personality flaws that caused that a good team. That's like Tips had a really good team. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals and he got fired. Um, but they needed a different approach to get them over the hump. Sadly, Mark Jackson has never got another shot. He's blacklisted. I think I could see Tibbs getting another shot. Wemby was disappointing as a basketball fan. I'm a fan of his game. All that dirty and he cries about everything. Plus 8 feet tall, shooting from 30 feet. What the fuck? All right, I'm gonna read some more comments and then I'm gonna break down Wemby real quick for a second. Brunswick, this is what I was saying last week. Everybody's rocking Ja Rule's New York song. I hope KRS gets some credit for it. He gets zero credit. Nobody remembers that obscure album cut on Edutainment. I got 200 guns, 200 clips. I think I was in the studio for that too. I got 200 guns, 200 clips. Headed to New York, New York. Um, like Jay-Z said, you made it a hot line, I made it a hot song. Shout out to Cool and Dre and Ja Rule and Fat Joe and them for taking that hook and revamping it and making it a real New York anthem. Um, Publishing wise, Chris will get the money. That's why owning publishing to your songs, even obscure songs, are very important because you never know when somebody will take your song and make it into something special, which is what sampling has been all about since the beginning. We take 2 seconds, 3 seconds of a song and make it a million selling record off of an obscure jazz record that only sold 100 copies. Um, you think of Edutainment, which I think Jive messed that album up. But if you think of the Edutainment album, but Boogie Down Productions, you probably think of a few things. You're not thinking of 200 guns, 200 clips. It was a straight reggae record. And if you listen to the lyrics, Chris was not talking about, it was not a New York anthem. That was really a record about selling firearms. Um, Robert says, there was so much music to enjoy. I was breaking day with the radio at 12. Yeah, me too. I used to sleep with the radio on. Um, Madonna was huge in the 80s. Rose took her to another level. Yeah. People don't even understand how huge. People like now are like, oh, um, certain people are now are like Madonna. Like, no, 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 you don't really understand. Madonna had on that belt that said boy toy, and hundreds of thousands of girls show up to her concert with that belt. Her style with the glove, with the fingers out, it was ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. Platform. Hey KP, what are your views on hip hop music world today? My buddies and I were talking and we thought it was boring, uneventful, and uninspiring. All of that. Now, BR Valentine's gonna come and say in the comment section and be like, oh, I only listen to underground hip hop and there's plenty of dope stuff. It probably is that you have to search through millions of records to find. We didn't have to search through millions of records to find dopeness a few years back. I'm sure there's some dope artists out there, but overall, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. It's too easy to make music and it's too easy to put it out. There's no filter. You had to work your way up. By the time you put a record out, you had to go through so many different stages, not only as an artist, but as a business person and in your personal life. It all had to come together for you to be able to get a record deal, to even put a record out. So we were getting the best of the best. Now anybody could do anything. It's just a lot of noise, and they're not even trying to be original. Everything is just beef. Every time you drop an album, you have to have somebody to beef with in order to get attention to it because it ain't the music. Um, and I said this last week. So it's Drake is really the punching bag. You come out with a new album, you find a way to get in some beef with Drake, and then it creates hype for your music. City Rose says, we sure enough paying for the black president now. It appears that way. It appears that way. That's another, we could be here for 5 hours breaking that down. Oh, shoot. First of all, anyway, what up? And it just got hot in here real quick, so I'm gonna cut this air back on. Um, Says, I am a 9/11 survivor. 2 World Trade Center, 35th floor. What? Boy, I would love to hear your story. That's crazy. Thank goodness you are here. You are truly blessed anyway. Wow. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, Spook Realm says, thank God you're here with us today. Yes. 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 Oh, that's an unbelievable testimony right there. Latrice says, I was just ecstatic to see Ewing. You mean in 85 or now? Because yeah, that's another thing in 85. We got Patrick Ewing on the Knicks in 85. We was like, we about to win multiple championships. Especially when Bernard King comes back. But it never happened. Let me scroll down a little bit, y'all. Death Rocker says crack created the death and destruction of a community. Yeah. The effects with really just seeing the ripple. We saw the massive earthquake that it caused in the 80s and into the 90s. But now we're seeing the ripple effect on our children. I see you breast says teach KP. Yeah, man. I truly believe that crack um took 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 the black male out of the equation in the 80s. Bebo says we have no repeat since Golden State almost 10 years ago. Right. And they added KD to that team too. That was the last dynasty team that really was a dynasty. Then they lost and they came back and won again. Great, great, great team. Great players, Hall of Fame players, Hall of Fame coach. Steve Kerr will be in the Hall of Fame. Great organization. It remains to be seen. And it looks like most of the guys on the Knicks are all signed up. They got to figure out what to do with Mitchell Robinson, Alvarado, and Landry, I believe. Crack and AIDS was the worst, yes. But I think crack affected AIDS was bad. I think crack affected the community more than AIDS. Remember, the government would not even acknowledge AIDS. Reagan would not even acknowledge it until 25,000 people had already passed. 25,000. Then he said, okay, there's a problem. But I still say that crack, during the crack epidemic, New York City was averaging almost 2,000 endings a year, first in the nation for like the whole decade. 2,000, 1,700, 1,800, 1,900, 2,000, 19 for like 10 years. Now it's at 300, 400. Crazy. Uh, CMC says, I want Steph to get one more ring. I like Steph a lot, but you know what? Not right now, Steph. Nah, I'm trying to see my boys get a few more. My Summer of Cool DJ Red Alert playlist is over 300 songs now. Well, is it the Dewey Brothers who sang Listen to the Music? Yeah. I was just watching a breakdown on YouTube about how Michael McDonald, adding him to the group, because Listen to the Music was before Michael McDonald, adding him to the Doobie Brothers ultimately broke up the group. And when they did What a Fool Believes, which is one of the biggest records of all time and won the record of the year, song of the year, with one or maybe both that year, it broke up the group. Always when one person becomes the biggest, overshadowing the rest of the people, it always causes problems in the group. Always. Let's see. How far behind am I? Kind of. I'm going to jump down a little bit. Does your brother still hate Puma sneakers? I think he hated Pumas because of Shan, but KRS is a Nike guy. Patrick White, Curtis Blow needs to update his basketball rap and make some quick dollars. Yes. That was a dope song, by the way. Did Bernard King wear pony or Converses? When he was on the Knicks, he wore Converses. Let me jump down a little bit, y'all. I'm a little behind, so I'm just gonna do a Benny Doyle. Where's Benny Doyle at? Where's G? I haven't seen G Doyle in a long time. Where you at? Wow, Harvey Lee. KP Mystical just got 20-year sentence. In reality, a death sentence for the age he is. Wow. Yo, that dude, looking at the story, if everything that they're saying about him is true, then he deserves the 20. He's a serial offender. We did a couple shows with him. Um, he's on the same label as BDP. He has some big songs too. 20 years. He has to be in his late 50s. So he'll be in his late 70s. It's not a death sentence. You can live in your late 70s. He's not going to get the best health care and food that you possibly can in the joint. But in 20 years, who knows what medicine will look like? I'm gonna say it's not a death sentence, but and he already did like 6 years in jail. I don't know. Knicks were a buzzsaw. Yeah, they were. Thank you for this, Kenneth. Ponies equal Earl of Pearl, David Thompson, McAdoo. That's probably who I know. Chocolate Thunder, Will, Cedric Maxwell, Spudwell. So it wasn't Clyde. Thank you. Clyde was Pumas. Thank you. I had some ponies in high school. Mike Brown outcoached him. The Knicks were relentless. Yeah, I would say that. I could say that. Dylan Harper is a good player, Jersey native. No, Dylan Harper has potential to be a great player. He he's only 20 years old. He looked fantastic on the biggest stage in basketball. The coach's decision to go with a proven all-star over a 20-year-old rookie is going to be the undoing, one of the undoings of that team. But even if he played Harper more, maybe Nixon 6 instead of 5. Bebo Jones, the thing about discussing about San Antonio is, oh, the thing that disgusts me is the Stephen A. Smiths. Don't listen to these people of the world talk so much crap about New York signing Brunson. Now he's all in the nuts. Exactly. That was overall unanimously considered a bad signing. They overpaid for Brunson. That was unanimous. Now they didn't pay enough for Brunson. Every single basketball pundit in the world was wrong about the Knicks, the Spurs, Wemby, the whole season. These people get paid millions of dollars. They have all of the stats, they have all of the insight, they know every coach, they know every agent, they know all the players, they be in the locker room, they've been in the game for years, they have all the inside scoop, and they come on TV and they're 100% wrong all the time to the point where I can't even believe they're getting paid. How could you be so wrong that many times? Seems like all you have to do is be a loudmouth and say your opinion with confidence and you'll get paid. And you ever notice how the most marginal players and people who never played at the highest level have the biggest mouths? How do you look at yourself when you were 100% wrong and make a complete 360-degree turn and act like we didn't just hear you say something the other day? Stephen A. Smith, to me, I'm not a fan. Let me just say that. I'm not a fan of almost any of those guys. Almost any of them. I did like the team that did the play. I think Breen is the best in the business. Tim Legler, who I played against in college, is excellent. And Richard Jefferson, he could be he can get on my nerves a little bit, but overall, that team I liked a lot. Everybody else, all the announcers, just about, the talk shows, the YouTube podcasters, they're all terrible. Monday morning quarterbacks, they're all terrible, man. You are correct, B-Boy Joneson. Wemby made history. Not Wemby. I'm gonna get to Wemby in a second because y'all about to force me. I got a whole thing. I'm talking Brunson. And you know, one of my top 5 favorite athletes of all time. I'm saying all time, everybody I ever see who I love. Not saying they're the best, who I love as a player is Becky Hammon. I watched her from her rookie season on the Liberty all the way to the end. She's my favorite WNBA player of all time, and she's very much like Brunson, very much similar. And she's getting pounded right now. She said 2 things, and she said it back in 2023, which is a little bit different than saying it now, but she said 2 things about the great Brunson. One was that she said, you cannot win if your best player is your shortest player. History says, and she was correct, especially in 2023, history says you have to have a big man, a great big man in order to win. And she said in the history of the NBA, and we're talking 70 years, only 2 short guys have won. Isaiah Thomas, arguably the second best point guard of all time, top 50 player and first ballot Hall of Famer who should have been on the Dream Team. And Steph Curry, the greatest shooter of all time. Those are the only 2 guys who are the best player on their team and the shortest. Everyone else lost. And Brunson, if you just look at history, Becky Hammon was probably 99.9% right. But the one thing she said that was wrong, she said, in order to win, your team needs that dude. You need a dude. And she said, Brunson is a very good player, but he's not a dude. And she is correct. You need a dude to win. But Brunson is a MF dude. He's that dude. And he showed signs of being that dude last year's run. Last year when he was clutch player of the year. 2023, he was, what, second team all WNBA probably? I said WNBA, all NBA. He has risen to that dude status now. So she was wrong about that. I could go on about Brunson. That last game that he just put up. You know, Patrick, while we was talking 2 weeks ago, you said Brunson is the 4th best Knick of all time. And I said I think he was 5th. I had Bernard King over him. And I said, but if you win the championship, he will be over Bernard. I said that. And Bernard King is my favorite player ever, by far. And I said Brunson is now over Bernard King. Patrick Ewing, they call him the greatest Knick ever. To me, that's debatable. He's up there, but is he the greatest? Now, he's played for the Knicks, what, 10 years, 11 years? And he had the Knicks in the playoffs 10 years in a row. He was all NBA probably 9 or 10 years. All-time leading scorer, all-time blocks, all-time this, that, rebounds. Stats-wise, he is the greatest Knick. He took his team to 2 championships. The second one in 99, he was hurt. We needed him so bad against Tim Duncan and David Robinson. He was hurt. But he took his team to the championship in '94 and got, to me, thoroughly outplayed by that African. Um, you look at Willis Reed, I think people forget, we have recency bias. Willis Reed, how long was he on the Knicks? 6 years? Back then, they didn't play that long before their bodies fell apart. Willis Reed was MVP of the league when he played and MVP of the playoffs. The year he limped out when he was hurt, he had 38 and 36 in them games against Wilt Chamberlain. And then he got hurt and then he limped out on the court and hit the first 2 jumpers and he couldn't go anymore. But that guy not only was the MVP of the league and the first team, but he won 2 championships with the Knicks and was MVP in '73 as well. Was Patrick Ewing's 10, 11 years better than Willis Reed's 6? I don't know. But those 2 guys would be the top 2. And then there's Clyde Frazier. And you got to ask, is Brunson over Clyde? Once again, Brunson's only been on the Knicks like 4 years, 5 years. So his trajectory could be the greatest ever on the Knicks. But I have him at 4th, Patrick Y, knocking on the door of Clyde Frazier. Clyde won 2 as well. Clyde was the best defensive guard in the league in his time. First team all league, maybe second team. He's right there with Clyde. You could argue, Clyde won 2, but you could argue what Brunson did in this run. You could argue at him at 3rd. But that guy is absolutely fantastic. The Knicks did not play well in that last game. And nobody really played well, really on either side. And that was a real drag 'em out old school 90s score. 94-90 was the final. If you score 45 points in a modern day game where the score is 115, 110, and you score 45, that is incredible. To score 45 points and your team only has 94 in an elimination game is mind-boggling. He had 30 in the second half. And they needed every basket. And he did it in every way possible. Threes to the rim. He took Wemby to the hole and laid it on him. Free throws, middies. When it's all said and done, Brunson could have a statue in front of Madison Square Garden, but it remains to be seen. All right, I'm not going to say much more about Brunson, but I can say more. I'm going to get into Wemby in a second. Let me scroll down a little bit because I'm running my mouth and I'm super far behind now. Kenny, was Red Alert part of the Native Tongue or was he just with the Jungle Brothers? He used to manage all of them. Red Alert Productions managed Tribe, Jungle, maybe a piece De La for a second. He was really the manager of, that's I think how baby Chris Lighty really got on through Red Alert. He should have received a suspension for the flagrant Wemby. Yeah, if y'all watched the live with me, I was screaming on this channel when Wemby stuck his foot out under Brunson. He almost took Brunson out of the series. That is an absolute flagrant. Wemby should not even have played Game 6. Rosmel said, what about Onyx Walk in New York? I used to like that. This is the way we walk in New York. That could have blew. FE2 said Mark Jackson was my favorite player as a kid. Shout out Mark Jackson. I had a chance to play against him in high school and play with him in a summer league tournament. We were teammates. Not that he didn't really speak to me that much, but um, let me scroll down a little bit. Yeah, I'm way behind. All right, we're gonna do a Benny Doyle scroll down. I hate this because there's a lot of good comments. I really wanted to get into um that crack conversation, but Kenny, did you save your VIP or backstage passes from certain places? Yeah, I did. I don't hardly have any that I used to have, but I have a few hanging around, a handful. Free thinker, KP, remember the world famous Supreme Team radio show? You had to stay up late. I have a picture with C. Divine of the Supreme Team. I need to put it on my wall because he's one of my inspirations. Do I remember? Are you kidding me? My brother used to pay me to record Red Alert and Marley Marl. Then I found the Awesome 2. Shout out to the Awesome 2. Shout out to Red Alert and Marley Marl. Red Alert is a BDP member, but Awesome 2 is damn near members of BDP as well. Love those guys. Talk about family. Markeem says Becky Hammond's infamous Jalen Brunson take shows you can't win them all. And you know, this is Becky Hammond who coached under Popovich for like how long was she with the Spurs? Like 5, 6 years? She saw every player. She scouted every player. She saw Brunson up close and personal. And this was her assessment of basketball and Brunson in 2023. And I think she was correct. Um, Up until Brunson is special, y'all. He's really special. Really special. I don't even know what to say. His combination of skill, he is very precision. Skill, concentration under pressure, and fearlessness. This is one of the all-time great performances runs, y'all. Don't 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 downplay what you just saw. And for San Antonio, they made crucial mistakes. For San Antonio, y'all ran into a bustle. The Knicks would have beat San Antonio. Even with the leads, San Antonio had the leads and all that. They were not built for that fourth quarter Knicks. And Cat, for the first 2 or 3 games, Cat through the playoffs and the first 2 or 3 games of this series was the big man that I talked about and that we needed. The last couple games, he did not play well. He's in foul trouble, dumb fouls. Mitch Robinson stepped up huge, even though he was cringy from the line and made some head scratching plays, but he held his own against Wemby. And the Knicks hung around just long enough for the Brunson show. Um, Sidney Rose said, anybody see Questlove's Earth, Wind, and Fire documentary? May have missed the discussion in the earlier show. No, I have not seen it, but I will watch that. I absolutely will watch that. Um, all right, I'm doing a Benny Doyle scroll down. Um, Harper was the best player on the team at 20. Free Thinker said, KP, we need that Wemby rant. All right, here we go. For those that are regulars on this channel, you know that I've been talking about Wemby since September. And I said, if Wemby decides to play around the basket and take it to the rim and stop shooting three-pointers, he will go to another level. And I always joke on this channel that I think he was watching and he heard me, and he did it in the beginning of the season. Then he had a lull where he went back to being old Wemby. Then he came back to it. I watched a special on him, and they were talking about how the coaches used to get in big arguments with him because they wanted him to develop around the basket, and he wanted to show the full array of his basketball talents. And they always would bump heads. I said this year about watch narratives. And I said that they always talk about the face of the league, right? And now that the real faces of the league, the LeBron, Steph Curry, are getting old, they're trying to find that next guy. At first, they tried to say it could have been Ja Morant if he wasn't acting stupid. No, 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 he's not on that level. They tried to force Ant-Man. Ant-Man is exciting, has the big smile, says a lot of wild stuff in the press conferences, but he's not consistent enough. He's not on that level. But they tried to tell us it was him. It wasn't him. I always say that the people pick who they decide who the face of the league is. Y'all know who my favorite player is, and I'm not going to go into that rant yet. But after all the smoke cleared, the NBA decided that Wemby is going to be the face of the league. He's an alien, and he's doing things that we've never seen before. So now, I've watched Wemby. I've been watching basketball a lot lately in the past 2 years, more than I've watched in the past 10 before that. But this series, I said, let me really sit down and look at this alien to see what I've never seen before. And you know what I noticed? And keep in mind, he's only 22. But a lot of the narrative around Wemby is his ceiling of what he could be. Not what he is today, but what he could be. He has a ceiling of being among the best to ever do it. And he has a floor. I guess his floor is what you see now. The only difference to me is his mentality. So now I'm watching this and I'm thinking to myself, is he really good at that we're calling him an alien? Is he a great ball handler? Not really. Wemby has an average handle for a forward. It's that he's 7'4" handling the ball that makes it look crazy. But at the end of the day, did he make any ball handling move this series that made you say, yo, that was crazy? I'm going to say no. As a matter of fact, to me, the illest ball handling move I think I saw this series was from Alvarado in Game 4 when he was in the paint and he dribbled out and then did like that's a New York move, that little hezzy, then spun back around and laid it up. I thought that was an ill move and a much needed one. Is Wemby a great ball handler? No, he's average. Is Wemby a great passer? We have a couple of we have about 3 all-time great passers in the league right now. I'm gonna single out who I think is the illest floor mapper One of the illest I've ever seen in Jokic, the Joker. Joker makes passes that make you go, how did he see that? He really sees 2 plays ahead. Has Wemby made any pass this series that made you say he was an elite passer? No. He is average passer at best. And he made probably the worst pass, one of the worst passes in the history of the finals that's going to haunt him for years. Is Wemby a great rebounder? Wemby gets 9, 10 boards. Game 3, he had a great game 3. He had 31 points, 14 rebounds. 14 rebounds is a really good rebounding game in the playoffs. He's 7'4". Josh Hart had 14 rebounds in a game. You look at his numbers throughout the season, is he a great rebounder? No, he's to me, for 7'4", I think he's below average. Shooter. Is Wemby a great shooter? He shoots 35% from three-point range in this series. And overall, that's like league average for a good, she's a decent shooter. League average. Does he have any go-to move, like when the game's on the line, you're like, this guy got a move that's unstoppable? No. He'll shoot any shot. I'm arguing right now that Wemby is an average basketball player, but at 7'4", it looks crazy. What he does do, which is special, I think, is the amount of ground that he can cover in the shortest period of time. And that's how he gets some really tough blocks because he covers ground so fast. He's probably one of the most agile 7'4" people we've seen. We've seen others, Bol, Ralph Sampson, and in one of the games, he took one dribble from the three-point line and dunked it. They threw him the ball. He was in the corner at the three-point line. He caught it, bounced it, and dunked. That's like 25 feet with one dribble. That's incredible. 7'4", though, with like a 7'6" wingspan. I'm going to argue that Wemby is not, at right now at 22, this alien that we've never seen before. He's a good basketball player that's 7'4". And have you seen him make plays that made you say, yo, this guy's basketball IQ is crazy? I think he has an average basketball IQ as well. And I think he's dirty. I think he should have been thrown. I think he should have 2 more flagrant fouls than he had. He threw Brunson to the ground, and they did not give him a flagrant, and he stuck his foot under Brunson's shot on a 3-point shot. He should have been suspended for game 6. That's not smart. He knew he was 1 flagrant away from getting thrown out, and he still did that dirty play. That's not smart. I was not impressed with Wemby in this series. I was impressed with the way he would make you not come in for a layup because of his presence. Did he guard the ball? I saw Cat go around him multiple times to the point where the Knicks was running plays to get Wemby on Brunson. And Brunson was busting his ass. And then the guy is super arrogant, pointing at his, I'm in your head, terrible comments at the press conference. He started smelling his own ass based on the league anointing him the one, and he hasn't done anything. What's he done? He got to the championship. a couple years ahead of what these pundits thought, which is dope. But what else has he done? He cried when they beat OKC because he was convinced that that was the championship. We about to dust these Knicks off. This was the real hard test. He was wrong. He's immature and dirty. You know, he walked off the court and didn't shake anybody's hand. I didn't even notice it because I was so busy screaming on here, as you guys know, on the live, that I didn't even notice it until I went back and they were showing it on Twitter, and they was like, the whole team just walked off, led by him. And as they showed Brunson, as soon as they won, Brunson walked over to his coach and shook his hand. Then they went back and showed all the replays of all of the champions, recent champions, all dapping each other up after the games. Good sportsmanship. This guy walks off the court. Last time we remember somebody really doing that blatantly for me was Isaiah Thomas when he wouldn't shake Michael Jordan's hand. And that really cost him down the line. So I'm summing all that up to say, I think Wemby is overrated right now. He's only 22, and his potential could be GOAT status. But right now, today in 2026, based on what I've seen, the NBA is trying to force him down our throats as the new guy, and he's not. If you watched this series and you didn't know anybody's name, you just came in from another world and they just dropped you in, and I told you that the face of the league is in this series. I'm not going to tell you what team, I'm not going to tell you nothing. Just watch the games. You would say that Brunson was by far the best player out there. And then you would say Harper could be one of those dudes. And then maybe Wemby. Right now, today, I think Brunson, he's riding a wave. And based on New York City, the size of New York City and the fan base, he could be the face of the league right now. I'm not sure he is, but there's more argument for him than there is for Wemby, who they tried to force on us. But now that you see his personality and the way he plays, he is not a likable guy. I really do not like him now. And I was indifferent to him before, but now I don't like him. But it remains to be seen who the face of the league is going to be. It is not Wemby, not right now. All right, that's one of my rants. We are in overtime, y'all. This is the Kenny Parker Show. For those that are new to the channel, anything after 9:30 is OT. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. I know some of you guys may disagree with me, but I really sat and this is my opinion, and I gave it to you based on what I saw. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, y'all, so I can get some of you guys' opinions. If you left a comment in the past 20 minutes, please comment again because I'm going to miss it. Reggie says, KP, right, 2 generations of caring sentiments and knowledge was washed away, and selfish individualism became an uncontrollable epidemic. Absolutely. Absolutely. I thank you for agreeing with me, Reggie. And social media just accelerated it. Benny Doyle says, I was in and out of the chat, but anyway, surviving 9/11 is the craziest comment. Yes, love that he's a member of the community. Yes. Wasn't Red Alert's Mike G's uncle? Yes. Let me scroll down a little bit more. I'm going all the way to the bottom. I think I just skipped like 100 comments. Um, KP, we also had Culture Club in 83, 85. They hit big. Yes. I loved Culture Club back in the day. And Boy George was another something we had never seen before. We had never seen that much flamboyance mixed with the hits. And surprisingly, I say this all the time. I didn't think he was gay. Based on how wild people looked at videos in the 80s and all the eyeliner and extra, I thought he was just over the top, over everybody else. But I thought that was just a shtick. That was the real Boy George. And said KP almost to BDP hat level rant mode. Yes, I should have put on my medallion. The rant medallion is right here. I should have put it on. I am not a fan of Wemby right now. Not at all. JT says Tim Duncan ripped our hearts out. Yes, he did. I don't agree. I love Duncan's game, but can't be a Knicks fan's favorite. I love Duncan's guy. So I love Duncan's game. He's one of my favorite. I think he's the best power forward that ever lived. And he won in an era where Kobe and Shaq was in the West. Those were wars. But we needed Patrick Ewing, old hobbled Pat. He barely got us out of the East. He was hurt against Miami, but he fought. He out. I think he outplayed Alonzo Mourning, and then Allen Houston hit that runner, and the Knicks went on that run. That was another magical season. But we needed him against those Twin Towers so bad because Chris Dudley just couldn't do it. Patrick, wow, KP, funny thing is Brunson did really play any good first and third quarter games, but his fourth quarter games were legendary. Yeah, I agree. He was huge, I think, in the fourth quarter of game one. And even in game two, he was off. But he did hit the fadeaway, a super tough one-legged Dirk Nowitzki fade in the lane. This guy is 6'2" in the lane that tied the game. And then he got the steal when Wemby threw it away and then hit the free throw for the game winner. This last game, he was huge in the third and fourth. And that's what I'm saying. Brunson was a little bit off to start the series. He found his way in them last two games. He had 36 in game four and 45 in game five. But he was off, and Bridges was off. Our three-point shooters, Landry, McBride, were all off. Cat was in foul trouble. OG carried until Brunson was ready in the fourth. And that's why I said the Knicks didn't even play particularly well in this series in 1 and 5. They said something like San Antonio led 65% of the series or 70% of the series. San Antonio won, was leading, and lost in 5 games. Let me tell you something, y'all. When you lose a 7-game series in 5 games, you got your ass kicked. I don't care how it looked and how it could have went. That gentleman's sweep, they call it, you got crushed. Had Brunson been normal, Brunson made the shots he normally made, they would have swept San Antonio. With Harper, they could have had Harper in the game, the whole 9. They would have got swept. Brooklyn Geek says, I think for his age and the level of pressure, Wemby is okay. Needs to work on the sportsmanship for sure. You know what else, too, though? I sort of agree with that, Brooklyn Geek, but you know what else, too? These same pundits are going really easy on Wemby. He's only 22. Brian Windhorst and I forgot the other guy with the beard. After game one, game two, oh, he's tired. He's not playing well because he's tired, y'all. What? He's 22. I'm not buying it. I seen that same guy destroy 24-year-old Luka Doncic, who took his team to the same level against the Boston Celtics team that was better. If y'all recall, Luka Doncic was wrapped up like a mummy after those games. He was so hurt. He led the entire playoffs in scoring, rebounding, assists, and minutes played. This is fat Luka. Scoring, rebounding, assists, and minutes played the entire playoffs, and lost against the Celtics, and they destroyed him. And everybody dissed him so bad that these guys were even saying, some people were saying Nico Harrison was right. You can't win with this guy, Luka. That's how bad he was in the finals. He averaged 30, 38 and 8, and they like trade him. But Wemby, the new face of the league, he's tired. He's young. He's immature. He'll get there. No. You know how I say on this channel, everybody gets measured the same. If he's an alien and he's nothing we never seen before, then you got to hold him to that standard. If y'all saying he's the face of the league now, and some was saying he should have been MVP, then I don't want to hear it later on when he shows you who he really is. Call it the same way for everybody. And if you notice this playoffs, a lot of big stars were mediocre this year. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was pretty mediocre in these playoffs. He had a great last game, but he was okay. Wemby was good leading up to this Knicks series, and then I would say he was fair. The Joker, who I think is the best player in the league, was okay in these playoffs. Cade Cunningham, who they tried to also tell us was going to be one of the faces of the league, was not good. Jaylen Brown was okay. Ant-Man was not good. You ever notice how all these people get excuses? Nah, man, call it the same way. That's why my hat is off to Brunson. I don't even think we really understand what we just saw, y'all. We probably have to wait a little while or a couple years back to look back at what we just saw. In the fourth quarter, Brunson showed he ain't no joke. He's the realest of the real, y'all. Hey, Boogie, Wemby is the difference maker, KP, respectively. What difference did he make? They lost 4 games to 1. The one game that he won, he was great, game 3. So let's say he's a difference between a sweep and a gentleman's sweep. Game 1, he dribbled the ball off his leg. He had like 6 turnovers in game 1, trying to handle the ball. 6. Game 2, he got the rebound, and instead of giving it to a guard or calling timeout, which is what he should have grabbed it and called timeout. He tried to be a guard and turned it over and cost them the game. Wemby throwing the ball off of Castle's back is worse to me than Fox driving in and missing that layup. Not only did he throw it off his back, but then he fouled Brunson. He didn't have to. It was a tie game. Nobody said we should trade this guy. They said, oh, he's 22. What is the difference? The difference that Wemby made was that you could not drive into the hole because he was there. I saw that. I would say at least 10 times, maybe 15 during the course of a game, somebody would drive in and come right back out when you see him. Where as somebody else, they would have tried to attack the rim. That's the difference. In the fourth quarter of these games, in the fourth quarter, the game they lost where the Knicks came back down 29, he was 3 for 14. He took 8 3-pointers. He pulled up from like 30 feet for no reason when they was up 27 because he was feeling it. He was 0 for 8. What difference did he make? Mark Love says, yo, KP, I heard your Wemby rant. I fully agree. The media keeps the narrative so that folks even come on here are fooled by the hype, and they love to use analytics to back up the hype. Yeah, you can find an analytic to make anybody look like anything. But there's analytics, the numbers are real, and then there's the actual what you're watching, the eye test. If Wemby is the alien and the next face of the league, the Wemby we see right now today that played in this playoffs, because we're judging Fox, who's an all-star, by this playoffs. They want him out of San Antonio. He's an all-star. If we're judging everybody by this playoffs, if he's the face of the league is in trouble. Isaiah, KP, did you ever listen to Cool DJ Red Alert on Kiss back in the day? Bro, you gotta get the book. The link is in the description below, please. KP, you're right. I've never seen a 6'4" cross-dresser. Boy George took cross-dressing and was an international superstar. He was as big. If it wasn't for, you look at 1983, 84. If it wasn't for Michael Jackson, you had Michael Jackson, you had Purple Rain, Madonna, Lionel Richie. Remember that year when he had like 8 Grammys in his hand? Like, you had some gigantic stars out right then. If it wasn't for these uber stars, Boy George was on fire. He just came out at a time when it was ridiculous. Philly, she says, you didn't think Boy George was gay? No. I thought he was just extra flamboyant. Go back and look at those 80s videos. We talked about this on this channel, Philly Sheep. Go back and look at those 80s videos. All the makeup and weird androgynous looks that these people had. And there's videos with goats walking past and weird people doing weird dances, and somebody be old milkmaid will be churning butter, and then somebody else will have on a spacesuit. Like, it was just, those visuals were so weird that I thought Boy George was just, this was some other weirdness he was trying to come with. I did not think he was gay. D. said KP, Boy George was definitely gay. The whole album was about his bandmate. Yeah, in hindsight, we didn't know that then. After the Behind the Music came out, it was like, oh, he was singing about his boy? You can't tell me none of them songs you thought was about a dude. People thought Hall and Oates were gay by the clothes they wear. Yeah. It was all, they all looked crazy. People thought Prince was gay too. Um, KP, did you know Son of Berserk? No, but I met him once. We did a show with him once. I met him. Rest in peace. To the Knicks fans, will you guys finally forgive White now that you have a ring? Who's White? Joey Joe says Culture Club is one of my favorite pop rock groups. Tears for Fears, George Michael are also my top 10. Those are my top 5. Oh, Charles Smith. I don't think I've ever gotten over that Charles Smith game. This victory helps the pain, but I am scarred from that. That Charles Smith series broke me, that game 5. And I was thinking about all of that. I had to sit by myself quiet in the house for like a half an hour after that Knicks victory and just reminisce how the Knicks been in my life my whole life. It's crazy, man. I haven't been that emotional in a long time. Long time. Congrats to the Knicks. New York must be happy. Happy was 2 series ago. New York is in pandemonium, and the parade is Thursday, y'all. I don't know what's going to happen at this parade. At the Hall of Champions with the ticket tape and all that. Nobody throws a championship party like New York. I don't know what's going to happen. Um, and you know what's the greatest thing about this? How all New Yorkers from all over came together. The Knicks team looks like the UN. Mostly black and brown people on the team. There's one white guy who I think is really good, who I think should leave the Knicks. I think he has a bigger role somewhere else. I think it's Kolick. He has a bigger role somewhere else. We got a Dominican on the team, a Puerto Rican. OG is from the UK by way of Africa. And everybody in the city, don't care where you was from, where the Knicks were from, everybody was together in the streets, cheering and hugging. Since really, like, the mania really started after the Atlanta series. It started building. And all the fake celebrities that came and made the Garden look like the Met Gala, that was whack. But um, I know it was the greatest of all of it too, how the Knicks showed out on the road. The Knicks took over Atlanta, but you knew that would have been it because everybody from New York, when you move out of New York, you move to Atlanta. Atlanta is New York, so you knew that New York was going to take over. They went to Philly and took over Philly so bad it was embarrassing. That was a Knick home game. But I did not see the Knicks taking over Cleveland the way they did, Knick fans. New York came into Cleveland and took over the building. And then San Antonio, 40% of the tickets were sold from the New York area. New York took over San Antonio. This city isn't like other places, man. And I know people get annoyed when I say that, and we sound arrogant. We are, and annoying and everything. New Yorkers are everything that every other state calls us. We are that. And you haven't seen nothing yet now because the one thing that we didn't have was the Nick championship, and now it's on. So to say, are the Knicks happy? What? It's 10 o'clock, y'all. I'm gonna hang out a little bit longer because I'm feeling real good right now. So I'm gonna give it a few more minutes, and then I'm gonna jump off. Patrick Wise says Tim Legler, Alan Hahn, and Jason Williams, also Monica McNutt. Shout out to Monica McNutt because she has risen. I remember her a few years back, doing the WNBA games. She has really risen. They have lowered Doris Burke's um, visibility and raised Monica McNutt. And you said they're primetime NBA analysts. Yes, Charles Barkley speaks his mind, but is not totally dedicated. No, he look like almost like he don't read any notes or anything. Him and Shaq seem like they just come on to just diss people and just talk about how great they were in their day. They're so negative. There's no analysis. There's no breakdown. They're not telling me nothing I don't know already. Only Kenny the Jet tries to give me some breakdown, some film, why he feels that way. Old Chuck is just, they're terrible. This is terrible. That's terrible. And Shaq is just, no big man is good. I'm the best big man. They don't play like I used to play. Like after a while, that gets old, man. Vincent Ross, thank you so much for your contribution. Favorite cuts from the Pet Shop Boys. I wasn't a big Pet Shop Boys, so I'm just gonna go with West End Girls. That was my jam, but everybody's gonna say that. That's the record that stuck out to me. JT says KP standing on business tonight. I am, because I'm feeling real good, obviously. But I'm giving you guys my honest, I'm being objective. I try to be as objective as I can on this channel. And if I really thought Wemby was that dude, I would say it. Like, oh, this dude Wemby, he is a fantastic basketball. He's a top five. He's a first team all NBA player at 22 years old. That he is. And he took his young team to the championship. Dope. And his potential is unlimited. But right now, today, nah, bro. Thank you so much, Sydney Rose. Says thanks for a strong week of programming. Respect. Thank you so much. We was on 5 times last week. We was out these streets. Thank you so much, Sydney Rose. Uh, Def Rock says Monica is kind of thick there. She used to play for Georgetown. I actually remember when she was a player. Uh, let me go back a little bit. Um, Ever since Kenny Smith said Kobe isn't in his top 10, I can't take him seriously anymore. Everyone has the right to their own opinion. That top 10, there's a few players who probably are not in the top 10 that you can make an argument for. With that being said, anybody who says Kobe is not in the top 5, to me, I have to look at them side eye. Unless you're going position by position. If you're just going by position, I still say Kobe's a top 10 because I think he's the second best two guard ever. Because if you're just going position by position, the guard spot is Magic and Jordan. That's it. I don't care what anybody says. That's the two guards. If you don't like that, please click off now. The next two guards in the second 5, Kobe has to be in that category. Now, if you're going just top 10, I mean, there's arguments for certain people. I don't know. I got Kobe in like 2 or 3, really. His shot selection. I didn't love Kobe's shot selection. Everything else, he's the closest to Mike we've ever seen. Any Steve Winwood cuts you like? Yeah, probably can't think off the top of my head. Higher Love, of course. I didn't really listen to pop stars' whole albums like that. I was more a singles guy. Like I used to wake up in the morning, I used to watch Casey Kasem's Top 40. I loved Casey Kasem's Top 40. And there was Casey Kasem's Top 10 used to come on Saturday mornings before Soul Train. I used to watch that. But on the radio, they had Casey Kasem's Top 40, and I used to listen to that a lot. So I know a lot of like the big singles, but I didn't listen to albums like that. Didn't have any money for albums, man. FU2 says Kobe is not top 5 for me. That's fine. Jordan, Wilt, LeBron, Kareem, Magic. That's a great 5. That's a great 5. I'm not, for me, Kenny, I'm not convinced that LeBron is better than Kobe Bryant. I'm going to get some heat there. I'm not convinced. That's just my opinion. I could break down why, but B-Ball, thanks for another great show, KP. We missed the BDP medallion during the Wemby rant. Yes, we did. I forgot. I just jumped right in because I wasn't going to do the Wemby rant, but enough people was commenting on it, so I was like, let me go in on this dude, in my opinion. And I'm being objective what I saw. Plus, I don't like him. I don't like his dirty play. He left the podium after they lost and said, all right, y'all, see y'all next time. Never. And walked off. Why are you treating the press like that? What did they do? You're the one that didn't show up. You're the one that missed free throws in the clutch with the game on the line. You're the one that missed the last second shot to win game 3. You're the one that turned the ball over and cost the team game 2. You're the one who went 3 for 14. Anyway, I'm starting to feel a rant again, y'all. Let me calm down. Mike Rock says, damn, I used to watch Casey Kasem too. Yeah, man. Shout out to Casey Kasem. It's 10:08. This might be the longest live ever. This is the longest live ever, y'all. The game live chats were long because we did for the game, but just us talking. Kobe is in my next 5. I don't have a problem with that at all. Just who you like. Because Bird has to be in there too. FU2 says Wemby is the truth, and when the Knicks get bumped in his first round next year, Wemby will be on his way to another first chip. Well, FU2, that remains to be seen. Let's see what I agree with you here. Wemby is the truth. I don't agree with that. I think Wemby is a story in the making. I think Brunson is the truth. The proof was in the pudding. I think the NBA is trying to make us think Wemby is the truth. Matter of fact, I think Harper is the truth. When the Knicks get bumped in the first round next year, which is very possible, Wemby will be on his way to his first chip. Let's bookmark that for next year. CMC in the place to be. Thank you so much. Salute to KP for bucket shots in the duck down video. I like KP and Will were the original firing squad. Funny thing about that, KRS was supposed to be the one bucking shots in that video, but then Jive decided that we don't want KRS One with a gun in his hand, and so they said someone else needs to do it, and I was like, I'll do it. Yes, I remember that clearly. Mr. Rock, did you rock JVC Force? You mean like play the record? That was a dope record. First of all, Red Alert used to kill that record, Strong Island. JVC Force was on B-Boy Records. They came in behind BDP. And I met a couple of them. I think A.D. Rock. What's his name? A something. Oh, man, sorry to mess up his name. I met one of them. It's mad cool. To answer your question, hell yeah. Strong Island. Living in CI. Who the hell am I? Brooklyn Geek says this episode is KP moving like KRS One's brother for real. Do y'all think I'm out of line? For those that watched all 5 games, do y'all think that I'm saying something that's totally off base? Gregory says the Knicks would tell FU2, well, FU2. FU2 says, my favorite current player is Castle. I see you're a San Antonio fan. And I said, FU2, if you remember before the series started, they asked me, who do you want the Knicks to play, San Antonio or OKC? I said, give me San Antonio because they're not experienced and they're young. And I will take inexperience any day over OKC because they've won before. And you know, the Knicks haven't won either, but they have more experience than Wemby, and I think they played San Antonio very well during the regular season. And I said, I'm not afraid of Wemby. I said this before the series started. If you guys remember, I said the guy I'm scared of is Castle. If y'all remember me saying that. And he played very well. He not only did he score very well, but he guarded Brunson as well as anybody I've seen guard Brunson until Brunson figured him out. Castle had a terrible game 5, by the way, but I'm not. He's getting no heat. He was terrible in game 5, but everybody's pointing the finger at Fox because he's a fall guy right now. But I love Castle. Love him. Castle and Harper, let's go. Patrick White, Magic, Bird, Kobe, the African, and Doc are my next 5. Not mad at that. I don't know if I have Doc in there. I don't know if I have Doc over Duncan. I don't know if he's over Durant, although Durant has really hurt his name right now. He has a lot of antics too. And I don't know if Doc is over. I don't think he's over Steph Curry. Steph Curry has to be in a 10, man. The greatest shooter of all time that got 4 rings. But I like the other guys. Magic, Bird, Kobe, and Dream. I'm not mad at any of that. I love Dr. J, but I don't know if I wouldn't have him in my 10. JT says, FU2, that's a big head Becky. You call her Big Head Becky. Y'all love Becky Hammond. Becky, that wasn't me. Like hot take. You're not being serious, just sour grapes. You'll heal. Yeah, I feel you'll heal FU2. Yeah, FU2, let me tell you something. Whatever you're feeling right now is nothing compared to what the Knicks fans have gone through. Nothing. You've seen, if you're a San Antonio fan, an older one, you've seen your team win what they won, 4 in the 2000s. You've seen that team led by Duncan win in your lifetime. And now this new wave, they have a really good core. They're young. They're gonna have multiple chances. So if you're feeling upset right now, FU2, you don't know what pain. What they say, you don't know what pain is. um, Patrick Y, FU2, JVC Force were dope. Yeah, man. Anyone that has Bird over LeBron can't take their basketball opinion seriously. You know what? I can show you an argument for Bird over LeBron. Overall, I have LeBron James for his longevity and his athleticism. I would say he's the better overall player. But if you ask me who I want on my team to try to win a championship, give me Larry Bird all day over LeBron. And I'm saying all day to win. But LeBron is a better player, eye test wise, over Bird. But numbers wise, no. I think the greatest thing about LeBron, to me, that's the most impressive, has been these last few years. What he's done at 38, 39, 40 to me is something we've never seen before. LeBron has too many of these suspect stories, too many quitting on teams, joining super teams, and then when you win, you say I'm the greatest of all time. See, I have problems with that. Maybe no one else does. It's 10-17, y'all. We are so deep. I'm gonna get off. But let me just get some last in. Celeb says, you on point, Kenny. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I appreciate people that say, Kenny, you're full of shit. I respect that. This is just my opinion of Wemby. I think Wemby became dirty in retaliation, which is not smart because he almost got thrown out for game 6. But he had a real nasty play in the series before. No, I just think that he's dirty, and I think that he thinks nobody can do nothing to him because he's the golden boy. He needed this humbling. This might be the best thing that ever happened to him. Get his ass handed to him. Oh, shoot. Come on, Silk Child, man. Wow. At the buzzer. Wow. I might leave right here on this note, Silk Child. Thank you so much. 2023, 30 years of hip hop came to Elizabeth, New Jersey, Rich Theater, and I was mad as hell. At the end of the show, leaving, I walked straight into Mo D. That's my man on the curb. KRS is in the van, couldn't get to him. The women were surrounding him, getting pics. I had to rush. Shout out to Cool Mo D. Of course, shout out to KRS, but that's my brother. But Kumo D, I always said he's a good friend. He always calls me on my birthday. And the little boy in me can't believe that Kumo D from the Treacherous Three would call him. I can't believe it. My life is so great. And speaking of the little boy in me, the little boy in me cannot believe that he saw the Knicks win a championship. My boy Daryl, for those that read the book, my boy Daryl texted me right afterwards, and he was like in tears. We used to play in his backyard, and I was Michael Ray Richardson. And now the Knicks won. Right. So, Child, we're going to leave on this note right here because this is crazy. And there's still 14 more comments. I just want to look at these last comments and then, because there's good basketball comments here, but Durant just averaged 27 in his 17th season. Durant is still great. I agree. But there's more to this 27-point story than there is just the numbers. But I agree. Like I said, I think Durant is a top 10 player. I do. And as a just a pure scorer, I think he's outside of I think Jordan is the greatest scorer ever. Kobe is right there, and I think Durant is third. As a pure put the ball in the hole, I think Durant is the most talented 7-footer, talent-wise, skilled ever. Thank you, D Nizzy. JV Force AJ Rock. I said something right. I couldn't get AD, I said. And B Love, yes. Uh, FU2, I became a Spurs fan last week. What? And you riding like that for them? Last week? Come on, FU2. I think you're just playing. JT says nothing compared to the Knicks' wilderness years. Tell him, KP, just objective facts right now. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You guys don't know pain. Caleb said Bird all day. For those of us that knows basketball and watch, that's old enough to watch, yeah, okay, LeBron is over Bird, but it ain't just like you stupid if you think. It's not as far-fetched as you think. He's slightly over him. Bird, better passer than LeBron. Better passer, better shooter, more clutch. Tough. Tough. You talk about nails? Larry Bird would eat this era alive. FE2 said LeBron averaged 28, 7, and 7 for his career. That's unbelievable. Look up Bird's career average. All right, I'm jumping off. I'm jumping off, y'all. We on too long. I'm gonna put it back here to Silk Child, and we're gonna leave it at that. There's so many great comments. I'm gonna read them when we get off, man. This has been fantastic. This is the longest live of all time, and thank you guys. And for the Knicks fans, once again, I know you're going crazy because I am. For just a basketball fan, this has been a very exciting, best 5-game series probably ever. If you're a San Antonio fan, you're feeling pain right now, but your team is in great shape. And hopefully Wemby will take the next step up. Because there's a couple of steps he needs to take. All right, y'all. Let me make this a little bit smaller. All right, I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.